looking at?
Go back into the kitchen now.
Bitch, you can't hear? Hello?
Alright, Oval fans, hope everybody's doing well. I just recorded my episode review, and this is kind of following up from a tweet I put out last night, as well as a lot of tweets that I was seeing in regard to the episode itself. And let me just say up front, this is just my take on the situation. If you feel differently than I do, I completely understand. You are entitled to your opinion. So before diving in, make sure you take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video, even if you disagree with me, and hit subscribe to help me reach 200,000 before we reach the end of 2021. So without further ado, I just want to address two things. I think that this is going to be a combo video where I talk about the rage that fans have after the quote-unquote clickbait cliffhanger ending we had last week, leading into the realization at the beginning of this week's episode that Priscilla was just daydreaming about shooting the First Lady and then being shot by Sam. And then the back half of the video is really going to talk about my thoughts on Priscilla as a character and how I don't really like the way she's being written, or should I say been written for season 2, because next week is the ending. So I've said it time and time again, Tyler Perry is the king of cliffhangers. I don't care what show he does. Even if there's like a string of trash episodes, he'll always have that last 30 seconds or so that has you going, oh shit, okay, I got to see what happens next week. Not every cliffhanger is going to have a follow-up episode which will live up to the hype of the last cliffhanger. Now, mind you, I completely understand if, let's say, last week was the season finale, which it definitely should have been, and then we would have had to wait, let's say, until early 2022, so about 3+ months. Have the show come back, come to find out Victoria and Priscilla did not get shot. People be like, whoa, Tyler, you had us have that heart-gripping cliffhanger and then have us wait a few months to have the show come back and it turned out it was nothing but a dream. Yeah, that was definitely clickbait. It's just like, you know, YouTubers who make these compelling thumbnails or these articles / headlines, or excuse me, these video titles, which is the equivalent of online article headlines and whatnot, to get people to click on it in order to increase the engagement on their content to better overall help their ad revenue. It's the same damn thing. I try my best not to do clickbait on this channel. Like, I'll let you know straight up, even if a title seems confusing, I'll let you know, hey, here's what the title said, but here's why I named it the way I did. And for the most part, you know, between my post online last week after watching the episode, I thought a large amount of my following knew that, yeah, this is most likely a daydream. We got 2 episodes left. And not only that, the freaking trailer, which you all watched before me, by the way, because I didn't watch last week's live. The trailer for the next episode clearly gave away that Victoria was just fine because she was talking with Hunter in the Oval. She slapped Jason in his bed and told him, you're going to prison. So I think for me, they should have edited the trailer for this week's episode to not include Victoria or Hunter at all, or Sam for the most part, in order to hide what really happened. That would have been way better because the suspense was kind of gone. I mean, sure, that was one hell of a way to close the episode, but I remember in my review last week I said, you know what? It just didn't seem right, you know, from Priscilla saying, oh, you have a call on line so-and-so, and then she just walks away. And then we got Sam being, you know, chewed out by Hunter. And then all of a sudden Priscilla comes up with a dish and a tray. It's like, wait, what the hell is she doing? Because remember, there was the scene in the kitchen where Robert, the chef, is preparing breakfast. And, you know, we never had a follow-up scene of, hey, Victoria, bring it to us upstairs. We won't be eating in the dining room. She just magically popped up. So I felt the setup for the scene was undeserved based on the cliffhanger ending. So for me personally, I have no issue with how Tyler Perry ended last week's episode as well as began this particular episode, because I put out a tweet and Taja actually liked it when I took a screenshot and put it on Instagram and tagged her in it, because I said, and I'll put the tweet on the screen so you can see it, I've been asking for years for Tyler Perry to do this kind of stuff, to have us have a look into the inner psyche or the mind, basically the inner workings of these characters, rather than them just saying a one-off piece of dialogue about I'm mad as hell, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, or just have a stern or just facial expression. Seeing what seeing what Priscilla was wanting to do, it goes back to what I've been saying about a lot of shows like Assisted Living and The Pains back in the day. Show, not tell. Don't just tell us what's going on. Sometimes you got to show us what's happening. And I think the best example of what Tyler Perry did with the Priscilla moment here that should have been done in the past, haves and have-nots at the end of, and correct me if I got my seasons wrong, was it the end of season 6, the one where Wyatt shot both his parents and then we had to wait like 6 months for the show to come back? And I remember during that time, I'm like, hey, this was all a dream, because remember, RK gave Wyatt some drugs, and he's like, yeah, I'm not giving you as much as I did last time, because I don't think he said why. He's just like, wait, this is less powder than the first time you gave me drugs. And then he just takes the jewelry and runs off. And I'm like, maybe that's because Wyatt, not only does RK recognize Wyatt has a problem, but the drugs that RK got for him were stronger than the last batch. So perhaps he took those drugs, and, him going around with the gun, shooting Jim, shooting Catherine, maybe all of that is just a dream or a hallucination. And then Jim snaps him out of it, because the fact that, everything that went on, it would have made the most sense. But no, they decided to use the ridiculous excuse of, oh, he shot at Catherine, but she fell backwards in the tub. Oh, it was quail bullets, so it wasn't as lethal as, a standard bullet, going into Jim's chest. So basically, that's how they explained away Wyatt shooting his parents, when indeed it should have just been more so of him hallucinating it. And I think it was done well here with Priscilla, and I would love to see more of this. And I get it. I understand if you feel robbed or whatnot, but like I said, the trailer for this week's episode spoiled it. And I have no issue with Tyler Perry doing this. Like I said before, I wish we had more moments like that. So, and it just goes to show that the Oval has the balls to do things that the haves and the have-nots of Loving You Is Wrong and a lot of these other shows didn't have, the courage to do. And for me personally, even though Tyler, he said I have Twitter, Facebook, and all these things, but I'm not really on there, I feel like, some of the things I've been asking for years are finally being realized. So I'm not saying that he looked at my tweets or videos personally, but like I said, I've requested, I wish we had a inner look into these characters' minds and all that stuff. And it's finally happening, so I have no complaints. All right, now the second part of the video, the Priscilla thing. And I said this in my episode review, but I think I'll expound upon it more here. This feels like what they're doing with Priscilla in season 2, or should I say what they've done with Priscilla in season 2, because damn, the season's almost over. It's like what they did with Veronica after Amanda died, and the haves and have-nots, like the unstable craziness that Amanda was experiencing. She got killed off, and it felt like that went directly into Veronica. I feel like what makes it different here with Priscilla is the fact that she was such a sweet character. And I get it, because circumstances can definitely turn a person around, especially if they are, close to home. Between Sam cheating and everybody around her dying, I can get why she would have this mental deterioration, but at the expense of a good character. Like, a lot of people like me agree, like, Jean shouldn't have been killed off, Picky shouldn't have been killed off, these characters were good. But you can make the argument that perhaps it was best these characters got killed off when they did, before they overstayed their welcome and became stale. And I feel like there are a number of characters on the Oval who are indeed stale, and hopefully will either get killed off or have their characters kind of shifted for the better. Kareem, Barry, Sharon, Lily slash Bobby, and I can go on. But overall, I think with Priscilla, it's kind of like with Jason. I know it seems weird to compare the two, but hear me out. I think that they had one of the best Jason moments early this season when he was brought home and, you know, he was chewed out and smacked around for killing Jean and covering it up and then admitting to the Denise murder. But then he had that moment where he said, the reason that me and Gail turned out the way we did is because we never had love. It's the fact that you were never around. You always, you know, kept us locked away because you were doing this political thing. Dad was cheating, so we always had to be in front of the spotlight. We never had loving, kind parents. That was an emotional moment, which I felt would have had more weight if he wasn't a freaking serial killer. Like, it would have made Jason more sympathetic. So it's hard to even... What he was saying was real, but when you blame your parents for your murderous tendencies, that really doesn't hold a lot of weight. Same thing with Priscilla, where at the end of this episode, she tells Richard, I need somebody to be on my side and everything. It's like, well, Priscilla, you never once said to your husband, hey, Sam, you know, hey, I got something medical going on. You know, I don't know, it's that time of the month. I don't mean to sound like a sexist or anything, but I'm just trying to write in some rational reason as to why Priscilla just said, Sam, no, not tonight. You're being selfish. Oh, no, I don't want you. It's like, well, yeah, for the people who kept saying, well, Jeremy, why are you saying that Sam, you know, didn't cheat before? I said in a video, Sam never cheated on Priscilla during his marriage until just now, Victoria. He cheated on Priscilla in the past before they got married, but then after he got married and then, you know, before that he promised to never cheat again, you know, that he broke his promise. But overall, Priscilla, it's like the fact that this person is so well at reading other people, but yet she doesn't take a moment to say, where did I go wrong? I mean, it reminds me of the play, one of my favorites, The Marriage Counselor. And I forgot, you know, Tony Grant's character's name in that play, but I think the cleaning lady at the therapy office basically said, you know, the signs are there, sometimes you just didn't see it. You know, like, you always said you were too busy because you had to work during tax season and whatnot, and all the times you were trying to provide for your wife and both of your parents, you know, because I remember that, you know, Floyd and his wife's mother were staying with him due to the hurricane. I think the play wrote in Hurricane Katrina and the fact that, you know, took away their home, so they had to move in together. And as a result, they were both working around the clock. Him as an accountant, or, you know, and then his wife as a therapist. So they had to pinch pennies in order to make ends meet. And his wife just wanted a moment of romance, a nice dinner, a vacation or something. But he kept saying, baby, we can't afford it. So the harder he worked, the more she felt neglected, and the easier it was for, I guess, one of her exes from college, the basketball player, to just scoop her up. And then he gets pissed off. But then at the end, he's like, yeah, maybe I played a role in this too. I feel like the same thing is happening in the Oval, but Priscilla is more inclined to focus on what Sam did as well as what he did in the past, as opposed to say, yeah, you know, my husband obviously has been horny for the past several episodes / days, so it would have been easy for a temptress like the First Lady to seduce him. I don't like it. Taja V. Simpson, phenomenal actress. I have no problem with her acting at all. It's like we're watching a completely different character from season 1 to season 2, which shows what a great talent she is. But in regards to how Priscilla is being written, I am not a fan. I'm sorry, I'm just not a fan. The fact that we have this character being written to be so arrogant, entitled, and non-negotiable. It's like her way or no way. It's like the fact that she is not really willing to listen to anybody because she's more so, when it comes to an issue that's going on in her life, yeah, she'll be there. She'll be the gal pal for everybody else. She'll listen to them. But when it comes to anybody having anything to say about her situation, she wants somebody to, and I've said this is one of my favorite lines. Sometimes when we're going through something whether it be a rejection, whether we feel like we're the victim as opposed to the other person being the villain. Because like they say, we're always the hero of our own story. You want somebody not to give you a rational answer, not to give you advice. Sometimes you want somebody to hear you out, hear you vent, and then blindly validate your feelings. That's where Priscilla is right now. I feel like they needed to give Victoria an antagonist, and Tyler Perry decided to make it Priscilla, and as a result, this character is completely unrecognizable from season 1. And you're probably wondering, well, Jeremy, don't you always talk about character progression and not keeping the characters the same? Facts. And I'm not trying to sound like a hypocrite, but when you have a character drastically change so quickly, it becomes noticeable, and it gets to the point where some of the scenes are just annoying to get through. Not as bad as, let's say, a Kareem and Sharon scene, but it just becomes, like, this isn't the character I knew. It's like the fact that she's completely irrational, unwilling to listen to advice or accept help. I mean, Sam told you at the beginning of the episode, you should go home, you like you said, you're having a nervous breakdown, but then in her mind, no, you want me to go home, that way you're here with her by yourself. And then at the end of the episode, when she's talking with Richard, I need to get out of here, I can't do it. Yeah, it seems pretty clear you should go home. But it's all set up, and I feel like when you watch certain episodes, I feel like the last 2 episodes definitely add evidence to what I've been saying for a while. Tyler writes it in a way where these characters make decisions and do things that don't make sense, all for the sake of, we got to get a stunning cliffhanger in there for next week, because next week it looks like either there's going to be a exchange of words or Priscilla's going to fight Victoria. And it's like, well, Victoria's talking about that tea, but it's like, fam, Priscilla walked away not even 90 seconds from the moment you sat down with Lily to talk about dresses and whatnot, and then all of a sudden you're like, let me go check on this tea. But it's like, I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen that quick. And it had to happen that quick. That way Victoria would have made it to the kitchen to overhear Priscilla talking all that smack. And, hey, it goes back to what I said about Priscilla. She'll talk all this smack behind closed doors, but when the person you're talking shit about comes to your face, it's like, well, what are you going to do now? And, yeah, like I said, I've only seen the end credit trailer. I haven't seen the actual trailer, even though I think it's funny as hell when Richard reaches for that knife and pulls it away from the counter. So, I guess we're about to see if Priscilla's about that life next week, or if she's not. But either way, let next week kind of squash the beef, where either Priscilla stands up to Victoria and Victoria knows to back off, or if Priscilla's just going to say, no, ma'am, I wasn't talking about a bitch. If she does that, it's like, okay, Priscilla, just quit then. Just quit. No. I don't want to deal with another season of her being like this. So we'll just have to wait and see how it turns out. But like I said, I have no problem with the cliffhanger. I thought it was great. Very intense, as well as giving us a peek into, damn, Priscilla about to lose her mind. And with that being said, let me know, do you agree with my thoughts on the quote-unquote clickbait cliffhangers we've been getting? How do you feel about the way Priscilla's been portrayed as a character this season? And let me know, do you think I'm off the, cuff like Jeremy? I have no idea what you're talking about. You're completely wrong. Or maybe I disagree with what you're saying, but I also see what you're saying. So we'll go from there. But like and subscribe, as I mentioned before. If you want to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. And with that being said, I'll catch you later.